all very much for coming. This is, I believe it's our third IQ, right? So we're slowly making our way across Europe, trying to get to know the developer community better, which actually leads me to ask a question. And although I'm a bit blinded up here, so I can actually see any of you, I'm curious to know how many of you are actually consider yourselves to be application developers? Don't be shy. All right, out of curiosity, how many people consider themselves press, bloggers, analysts? Fair enough. And how many of the rest of you are just plain old curious? I think they can raise their hands on that. So I am here today to talk to you about Windows 8 and Windows RT. As Rob mentioned, I work directly with developers, and actually I spend a good part of my time working with OEMs, hence I guess the word ecosystem. I'm covering multiple parts of it. I also work quite closely with Microsoft. I've got one more question. How many of you have heard of Windows 8? Very good. How many of you have heard of Windows RT? Good. How many of you know I'm not talking about the phone right now? So one of the things I've learned, I've been working on Windows 8 and Windows RT for about, I'd say almost 18 months now. And one of the things I found as I talked to the developer community is that there's a little bit of confusion. I will say there's been a tremendous amount of growing interest as the time has gone on. It's gotten a little bit more exciting, especially as some of our partners have started announcing their devices. You've actually gotten to see what these things look like. So part of my goal here today is to educate you on what I've learned about Windows 8 and about Windows RT, about what I think it means to you, why I think you guys should be excited about it, involved with it, answer any questions you have, and explain what is Qualcomm's role in this, in case it's not extremely obvious after all we've been through today. So a couple of these slides, I'm just going to fly right through because you've had them multiple times. I think you get the picture, and even if I wasn't sure who Qualcomm was after seeing the same slide 6 times now, I've got it down pat too. So you guys already know we're working across multiple sectors. We'll just skip that. This is Windows 8 or Windows RT. You will find, and it's not because I'm schizophrenic, but you'll find that I will keep going back and forth in the terminology. And there's a reason for that. Microsoft tends to use Windows 8 as kind of the global way to define it and describe it. Windows RT is not a subset of Windows 8. We'll get into this in a little bit more detail. The applications that you build using the new Windows 8 UI, I would have called it Metro, but I'm no longer allowed to say that apparently, especially in Germany. And so this is really the UI, and we actually have some of our development platforms out in the exhibition hall running Windows 8 right now, or Windows RT, so you can take a look at it. And then I've got a little something that I can show you in a few minutes too. So I'm probably going to sound like a Microsoft employee for a few minutes here, so bear with me. But like I said, I found that education seems to be key. There's a lot of confusion. And in all honesty, sometimes even internally at Qualcomm, I spend maybe the first 15 minutes of every conversation making sure we're all talking about the same thing. Because Windows Phone 8 is also very, very exciting. We're very excited about it, but that's not actually what we're talking about here today. So I'm going to focus on Windows 8. I would call it Windows 8 Tablet. But you'll actually find, from a form factor perspective, that there will be clamshells or traditional PCs that are going to run Windows 8 and Windows RT. You're going to find that there's going to be tablets, and there's going to be something that apparently the industry is calling convertibles, ways to get the most out of the device, I guess. So, Windows 8, brand new UI. Has everyone in here had an opportunity to play with it? A little bit? Okay, if not, again, I highly recommend that you get your hands on the device that's out there, play around with it a little bit. You can see nice, really completely redesigned by Microsoft, really meant for a touch experience. Works perfectly fine with the mouse and the keyboard, but you really, as you're using it, your hands naturally go to the screen, which is a very natural movement. We've all studied and seen how children naturally take the touch of the screen, and nowadays they walk up to the TV and they try touching that too, and some TVs respond, right? So new UI, brand new store. So in the beginning days, and I don't know what Microsoft's plans are, just to be crystal clear, but what I can tell you is that the Windows Store that will be launched with the new Windows 8 devices is different than the Windows Phone Store. So from a developer perspective, you need to submit your applications to a separate store. This is one of those things that really helps us clear up also what we're talking about. We're talking about two different channels to market. Pretty crystal clear, we're not talking about the same physical device. And finally, for the first time, in terms of a compute space, you're looking at ARM processors inside a Windows platform. So the difference between Windows RT and between Windows 8 is that Windows 8 runs x86 and x64 chips processors, and anytime you see the word Windows RT, that's an ARM processor. There will be different ways that these devices will be commercialized. So, big numbers. I don't know about you guys, but I come from the developer community, and one of the things that I always asked any one of the sales guys who came and said, I want to support this OS or this platform, is why should I do that? Where is that revenue opportunity? Why should we redirect our limited resources to support a new platform? And I think Microsoft, and this is taken directly from the Microsoft presentation with their permission, has kindly given us some really good reasons. Some really big numbers, and if you guys come from the mobile world versus the PC world, it's really hard to say that on day one, so potentially on October 26th, when Windows 8 and Windows RT devices launch, you see that 500 million number up there? If your application is in that store, that's your potential reach on day one. Now, obviously, not everybody's going to upgrade their Windows 7 PC on day one. But nevertheless, it's a massive market opportunity. And it's enough, well, when I was in your shoes, it would have been enough to make me turn around and say, I think I want to be a part of this. So, to be crystal clear, most first generation Windows 7 PCs that don't have touchscreens can be updated to Windows 8. Okay? If you build a Windows 8 application with a new UI, or what before was called Metro, and you put it into the Windows Store, that application is available not only to the new Windows 8 hardware and the new Windows RT devices, but it's also available to all of those Windows 7 PCs that we all have at home, in the office, maybe that we handed on to our children. So, huge market opportunity. And this is a worldwide market opportunity. If you can't tell, I'm kind of excited about it. So, what is Qualcomm doing with this, and how is any or all of this relevant to Snapdragon? So, even though I say the word Windows 8 over and over again, from a Snapdragon perspective, it's an ARM chip. It's really a Windows RT device. Qualcomm's not making a Windows 8 device, they're making a Windows RT device. But as Microsoft uses the term in a generic sense, we also find ourselves needing to use the term in a generic sense. What's great about the Snapdragon device, so the Snapdragon-powered devices, just last week, both Dell and Samsung announced that they're going to be running Snapdragon processors in their Windows RT devices, is that because you don't have that fan, they're really thin and really light. And I happen to have with me the Samsung device. And this is actually, I guess I can turn it on for you. All right. Oh, I'll fight with the password later. So this is the Samsung device. You'll see that actually, it's actually a tablet. So this tablet, ultra lightweight, fantastic battery life. And as a Windows RT device, it comes with Microsoft Office, it comes with Word, with PowerPoint, with Excel, and with OneNote, and obviously with a full-featured calendar and an email client. So all of a sudden, I have my entertainment device, and I most definitely have my productivity device. If I'm somebody, or if you're like me and you have trouble typing on touchscreens, Samsung has thought ever so nicely to add in a keyboard, which I believe will be sold separately. But the keyboard actually has an extra battery in it too. So easy to travel with, very compact, and now all of a sudden I find myself with not only my entertainment with me when I travel, but also all of the productivity I could possibly want. And I can assure you that this was a lot lighter than what I brought with me today. So, this runs Snapdragon, thin, exceptional battery life. The UI, as you'll see out there, and as I can show you on the Snapdragon, on the Samsung device, extremely fast and fluid. Also, there's a great concept, this concept that it's always on. It acts like your smartphone. I mean, every once in a while we have to power down our smartphones, maybe clear out the memory a little bit, but for the most part, we don't really turn these things off anymore. We live with them on most of the time. And for the first time, now your productivity device, your Windows RT machine is just like that. You hit the button, it powers on really quickly. You shut the cover, it's kind of like you put the screen into a black mode, right? When the applications go off the screen, they go into a standby mode. So you've got great battery life, and really quick ease of use. No more booting up your computer and waiting for it forever. So I guess all this is driving me to a very specific point. We're excited about this new opportunity. We think it's we think it's going to be a really interesting device for the consumers. Microsoft's definitely targeting with Windows RT, and you'll find the OEMs kind of the consumer space, as well as the prosumer space. We really believe this will be one of those, bring it to the office type devices, because you've got things like Word and PowerPoint and Excel. So all of the apps that run on Windows RT are built for this, there's the right word, modern UI. I guess I should have looked more closely at my slides. Microsoft's guidance also on building these apps is that they be touch first. So even though they work with a mouse and a keyboard, like I said, that natural human instinct is to touch things now, and so you're going to want to make sure that when you're designing your applications, you're thinking about touch as a core integral part of your application. Microsoft got some great guidelines out there. They've studied consumer behavior for quite some time, and I think that's why they've put those out there. They're easy to find. I think we already mentioned you can reach both all those Windows 8 users as well as Windows RT users with that same application. And they're both available through the same store. Rob already mentioned this, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. We do look to support our developers with quite a bit of tools. We actually have a developer program, and it's actually a pretty exclusive program. We don't let everybody into it, because the folks that we do let into it, we spend quite a bit of time and resources on, but we do invite everybody to apply. So really, what we invite you to do is tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us about the application you're building. Tell us why you think this is an amazing new consumer experience. How is it different? Go ahead and build that application, and we'll start to engage in a conversation. And then we're really excited. I mentioned part of my job is to spend my time with OEMs, and I like to give that feedback into the developer community too. And so that's part of what we do through the Snapdragon Developer Program. We can feedback information to you, as well as relationship building through OEMs, carriers, all of our ecosystem partners, because those guys are also looking for differentiated, unique, new consumer experiences. So if it runs really well on Snapdragon, we have every motivation to make sure our OEMs are using it. Rob mentioned that we believe that experiences sell devices. Well, as part of the ecosystem's team job to help bridge our OEM partners and our carrier partners with those amazing consumer experiences that you guys are going to be building. So, in its initial launch, Qualcomm has a couple things you can use that will help you differentiate a bit. Rob mentioned Fast CV, which stands for computer vision. We will have a library. Actually, we have a beta of the library available today. So if you have an application that uses the camera intensively and you need to do intensive processing on top of that, traditionally known as computer vision, we do have an SDK specific for you, libraries for you to use that will help you optimize to the Snapdragon hardware. The nice thing about Fast CV is we're very, very conscious of not fragmenting the work that you do. We understand the pain that fragmentation causes, and coming from your shoes where I came from, I'm the first one. So the good news with Fast CV is it's still one build from your perspective, If your application is going to run on Snapdragon, then it'll take a separate path. We'll upload some of the processing to our hardware components. If not, it's been optimized for ARM, and it'll head down another path. But you're only doing one build. The rest of it's been nicely designed for you. The other thing we've talked quite a bit about, and actually Julian Harris will be coming up next to talk in more detail, but it's AllJoin. As Rob mentioned, AllJoin is our peer-to-peer solution, so you can create interesting applications that take advantage of other folks around you or connect to other devices. Needs to be platform agnostic, needs to be able to talk to everything, so of course we have this available today as a beta for Windows RT and for Windows 8. So I know sometimes it can be a little bit confusing. The OS obviously belongs to Microsoft. When you go to build a modern UI, I gotta write this down. When you go to build a modern UI application, you're actually going to Microsoft to learn what the requirements are for the application, for support on the actual application itself. Any of those types of things, Microsoft does a fantastic job working with the developer community. You'll find everything you could possibly need there. Then, when it comes to Qualcomm, if you go to developer.qualcomm.com, that's where you can tell us about what you're doing, tell us how it's different. You can find the AllJoin, actually alljoin.org is where you find the AllJoin SDK. You'll find FastCV on the developer network. And we're very excited to see the types of applications you're building. At this point, we're in mid-September, and the devices are launching in, October 26th is the date. But as new platforms roll around, as Rob said, we have hardware development platforms available for people that get accepted into the Snapdragon Developer Program. And so one example of the ways we supported the development community till now is being able to supply early access to the Snapdragon Windows RT device, at least our development platform. Because you can build today on x86, but the only way for you to see it running on Windows RT would have been to work closely with Qualcomm. So our call to action to you guys is don't miss out on this great market opportunity. Being there in the beginning is always good. And we're very, very excited to be with you. And at that, I'm happy to tackle any questions. Keep in mind, I'm not a Microsoft employee.